Hello students, this is Abdelkader Ouda. Welcome to ES 1036 video series. In this video, we'll continue our discussion on the loop statement and talk about do-while loop and then demonstrate it in a new example. Let's get started. You see on the screen here the general format for do-while statement. It starts by the keyword do followed by one or more statements enclosed between braces, and then the keyword while followed by a condition in the form of Boolean expression. The do-while statement works like this. When the program executes and see the keyword do, it recognizes that it's going to be a loop statement here and start to execute these statements. When it reaches to the while keywords, it tests this condition. If it is true, the execution go back to the keyword do and repeats over again, and this statement repeat again until reach to the while keywords. The condition is tested again. If it is true, repeat, go back to the keyword do and re-execute this statement again. We keep doing this repetition until the statement reach to the condition when it's found to be false. When that happens, the statement after the do-while statement are executed. So what is the difference between do-while statement and while loop statement? Let me write here the general format for while loop statement. So what we see here, the difference in the do-while statements, this block of a statement execute first and the condition get tested next. So this is called post test loop. And here in the while loop statements, the condition is tested first and then the block of a statement executed. So this is here pre-test loop. So this is the only difference between both of do-while and while loop. To see the difference between them in action, let us consider this example and see how we can use both of them in one Java program. In this example, we need to write a Java program to determine the distance traveled. The question says the distance a vehicle travel can be calculated as follows and give us the formula: distance equals speed multiplied by time. For example, if a train travels 40 miles per hour for 3 hours, the distance traveled is 120 miles. We have two requirements in these questions. The first one says consider this UML class diagram and write the distance class, this class, that stored the speed of a vehicle in miles per hour and the number of hours it travels. And also give us description for the method getDistance. The method name getDistance returns the distance in miles that the vehicle has traveled. The second part of the question asks us to demonstrate the class in a program, write another program, mainly the main program, that uses the while loop. Here it's specific that we need to use a while loop to display the distance a vehicle has traveled for each hour of time period specified by the user. For example, if a vehicle is traveled at 60.5 miles per hour for 3 hours time period, it should display a report like the one we have it here. Two columns, the header of the first column hour, the header for the second column distance traveled, and we have here dashed lines, and we have 3 lines because it say that for the 3 hours. In the first line he write the first hour and the traveled distance 60.5 miles, and for the second hour the vehicle has traveled 121 miles, and the third line for the third hours the vehicle has traveled 181. There is also other requirement of the questions say that for the sake of input validation, we need to use do while loop. It says using do while loop, don't accept negative number for speed. So when we ask the user to enter the speed, we need to check or validate the inputs, and we don't need to accept negative number for it. And also we don't need to accept any value less than 1 for the time traveled. Okay, so what we need to do now is to consider the first part of the questions and write a new class called distance that has these two fields, and the constructor in addition to two setters and two getters with the get distance methods that implement this formula. And then we need to write another class that contains the main methods to use do while loop to ask the user to enter the speed of the car, and another do while loop to enter or to prompt the user for the time they traveled. And then I'm going to use while loop in order to generate this report as described in this output. So let us jump into the IDE and start to write our Java program. So I have created a new project and also create a new class called distance in order to implement this UML class diagram. To speed up the process, I prepared some code in advance. I'm going to copy and paste here and then give you a description when it is needed. So I need to define these two private fields, one for the speed, one for the hours. So I have here private double speeds and private int hours to hold the speed of the car and to hold how many hours the car has traveled. Now I need to write the constructor of the class. I have here the constructor accept two parameters, s to initialize the speed and h to initialize the hours. And it's good to all the time have some comments to describe the reason for having this code in our program. Now I need to write the two set hours and set speed. So I have here set speed accept again one variable s to initialize the speed, and set hour again accept one parameter h to initialize the hours. And now I need to write get speed and get method. It's just direct implementation to return the value for the speed and the value for hours. So the get speed method returns the speed of the vehicle, and the get hours method returns the number of hours traveled by the vehicle. Now I need to implement or to write the get distance methods that need to implement the given formula to determine the distance has been taken by the car. So I have here the get distance method returns the distance traveled by the vehicle. Simply apply the given formula and return hours multiply the speed. Alright, so this is here direct implementation for this UML class diagram. We have defined the fields, the constructors, and two setters and two getters, in addition to the get distance method that returns the distance traveled by the vehicle. Let us now create a new class and write our main program to fulfill the requirements of the question.